If you're an Arsenal fan, we finally got some good news in the transfer market. We got so many things to talk about in this video. Before we get into it though, just very quickly, please do me a favour. Just hit like on this video. So I'm going to get straight into the good bit of news we've had. Fabrizio Romano, Eddie Nketiah to Crystal Palace. Here we go. The deal's in place between clubs for £25 million fixed fee plus 5 millions in add-ons. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this. I think this is exciting because like we've said, if Eddie Nketiah goes, does that mean Arsenal need to bring in another forward? Let me know your thoughts on it. We know Gabriel Jesus is injured. If we sell Eddie Nketiah, does this mean Arsenal have to sign a forward player? Do they have to sign a winger? Do they have to sign a striker? Let me know your thoughts. My thoughts on this deal are, I think we need to give some respect to Edu and Arteta, because after the Marseille deal fell through, I was saying, I think that deal's that's quite a good deal. Arsenal probably should consider doing that deal. Arsenal sticked firm on their price tag. Marseille didn't want to pay it and they went elsewhere. At that point, you're thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, we have to sell this player if we want to improve that forward line. We know Nottingham Forest come in. Arsenal, I think they rejected the first bid, and then Nottingham Forest seemed like they went elsewhere, and that deal fell through. Eddie Nketiah, in the end, didn't actually want to join Nottingham Forest. And then Crystal Palace come in and you're thinking this is probably the last chance. If Eddie is to leave in this transfer window, this seems like the perfect opportunity. Eddie said yes, and now the deal's been completed. Like I said, I am just excited to see what this brings for Arsenal. If we decide now to not bring in anyone, I think we're going to be massively understaffed. Like, our manpower up front is going to be lacking, in my opinion, to fight on all fronts, to fight in the Champions League, the Premier League, the FA Cups, Carabao Cups. We need silverware this season. And in order to do that, we need to have a strong team with plenty of options in all positions. I look at our backline and I think that is strong. That is a very, very strong backline to sustain these pushes. I look at the midfield, and with the introduction of Merino, and we have an update on this as well, by the way, Mikel Merino has just signed his 4-year deal as Arsenal player. It's all sealed. So like we've all been expecting, this deal will 100% happen. So that leaves us fully stocked in the midfield area. But you look in those forward positions, we know now Fabio Vieira, it's been confirmed, he's definitely leaving. Like, he's going to Porto for a season on loan. And what's interesting about that deal is this isn't Arsenal trying to ship him out. This isn't Arsenal saying we definitely don't want to use this player in the future, because there's no buy option. Arsenal didn't want to include a buy option in this deal. And I've actually put stipulations in the contract to Porto that say you need to play this player over 50% of the games. And I think it was something like the more you play him, the less fee you have to pay us. So it's definitely like a developmental loan that they're pushing out there to Porto. They're saying, use this player, development, and pay us less money. So that tells you how highly Arsenal rate Fabio Vieira. So many of us are kind of confused with Fabio Vieira because we don't really understand what he is yet. We can't really see him getting any minutes in that Odegaard position. We certainly don't see him getting much minutes out there on the right-hand side, which is a position that Mikel Arteta seemed happy to use him in the pre-season. We saw him play that position and it didn't really work, if we're being honest. So Mikel Arteta still sees something in Fabio Vieira and he wants to get the best out of him by giving him minutes in Porto. Now that option's gone. We've got Eddie Nketiah. Now that option's gone. Like, what's our backup option? We know like I said, we got Gabriel Jesus who's injured. So that's not an option that you can rely on. Like, if he does come back, I don't know how long it's going to be. Like, will he get injured again? Even with Gabriel Jesus, I would still say we're short. And what does this mean for Reiss Nelson? I could probably confidently say now, I don't expect Reiss Nelson to go. There's not enough, like I said, players in the squad to allow Reiss Nelson to go and not bring in another 2. I still think we could do with at least 1 forward attacker, maybe 2. 2 is not going to happen, but we definitely need to bring in 1. And the discussion can now be, who do we go for? We're seeing links of Osimhen to Chelsea. I read yesterday that it seems like Arsenal may be ahead of Osimhen, maybe ahead of Chelsea in the Osimhen race now. What's your guys' thoughts on that? Would you even like Osimhen at Arsenal? We've had the conversation a few weeks ago, and so many people were actually saying, nah, I'm not really feeling the Osimhen deal. I'd much rather go for a Victor Gyokores. I would still keep your eyes open for a deal for that player. Like, Arsenal are going to leave it late, I imagine, in hopes to get or pay a lesser fee for a player. So we can maybe go to Gyokores and say, look, we'll pay you 50, 60 million and we'll have the player now. Like, because, I don't know, they're leaving it late. They must be leaving it late for a reason, because they know they can get better value in the market. Some of the players I would look out for, Kingsley Coman. We've seen him being linked more recently to Arsenal. Is this just a coincidence? I mean, it's coming out that he definitely wants to leave Bayern Munich. Is this a player you would take at Arsenal? I'd be looking at Kingsley Coman and saying, I think he's a very good player. But he's another left-sided forward, the same as Nico Williams. There's still links with Nico Williams, Kingsley Coman. Are these options that you guys would go for? Let me know. Because they are left-sided options. But does that mean, the only way I can see that happening, if we bring in a Coman or a Nico Williams, is if we make Leandro Trossard like the backup striker option. But then that's unfair, because look how prolific he is. Look how good he's been over these past couple of seasons. Like, this guy scores goals. This guy comes up with big moments, so he probably does deserve a starting place in the team. And will he get in the squad ahead of Havertz? Is that right? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on it. Where else could you see Trossard playing if we do go for a left winger? That's why I think it's unlikely. That's why I think it's more... I think we got a better chance to go for a Gyokores, or maybe even an Ivan Toney deal. Like, these could be opportunities that Arsenal pop up with in the last minute, because we know Brentford are happy to sell Ivan Toney. Arsenal have been linked with Ivan Toney probably for about a season now. Will Arsenal leave it late and say, we'll give you 40 million for Toney, because we know they want to sell? Or will Arsenal leave it to January? That's something I'm scared of, if I'm being honest. If we sell Eddie Nketiah and we don't bring in a player, will Arteta and Edu look at it and say, well, we'll see how we get on till Christmas, and then if we're struggling by then, we'll dip into the January transfer market? I would be scared looking at it like that, or I would worry. I wouldn't be scared. I'd be thinking, is this right? Like, we can't afford to test it just to see if it works. Like, we need to be sure in our approach. I'm sure these guys have their idea of what they want to do, but I would be looking at it as a fan and saying we need more reinforcements. I hope these guys see it the same way. We've sold Eddie Nketiah. We're going to get 25 million plus 5 million. We need to reinvest that money. But then, like I said, that leaves you asking who out there in the market is out there. And this is where I want to hear from you guys. Who would you go for? Let me know in the comment section. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Like I said, let me know your thoughts on the Nketiah deal to Palace. Let me know your thoughts. Who would you bring in? Do you think Arsenal are going to bring in another player? Do you think they're going to go for a winger? Do you think they're going to go for a striker? And do you see a late deal for maybe an Ivan Toney being viable? And would you go for Osimhen? Like I said, thanks for watching. Just like this video and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.